All right. Good afternoon to all of y'all. Right. So, welcome to the law class. So, I'll give a little briefing about myself. Then we'll get to know each other. Then we will move on to law. The screen is visible for you all anyway, right?
Yes.
Great. So, my name is Lahiru Karunarathna. Some might know, some might not know. I'm a fellow member of ACCA and I'm a part of ACCA Council as well, Sri Lanka. And I'm the co-chair of Student Development Subcommittee for ACCA as well. And so about lecturing, I have been in the industry for around 10 to 8 years now. Have been conducting lectures for different subjects. So some of you all might have known me for taxes. So I have been doing taxes for a long time. I started with accounting, then move on to taxes. I did auditing, lecturing for the current batch also. I'm doing audit, and then I did costing, especially for foreign markets. Now moving on to law. So I have done different subjects, that means. And I am the CEO of ODOC as well. So one of the leading telemedicine companies in the country. I'm the CEO of the company as well. So career-wise, I have around 15 years of experience in different industries. So that's a very small briefing about myself. Anything you guys would want to clarify about myself? Right. Then can I have a small briefing about y'all as well, like your name and where are you from and where do we stand in terms of ACCA individually? And if you are working, where are you working and all? Small intro about yourself.
My name is Mohammed Fahad. I have completed my advanced level and AAT finals, and I am waiting for my AAT final results. And this is the first time doing skill level.
Great. So anyway, you get exemptions for foundation level, right? So you haven't done. This is the first paper that you are sitting for ACCA.
Yeah.
Great. What is your school?
For the until O-levels, I did in MT Gurusena Assist International School.
Okay.
For the A-levels, I joined St. Benedict's College, Kottayam.
Great. So you are around 19 years or 18 now?
20.
20. Great. How about you?
My name is Saruman and I completed knowledge level and diploma as well. Me also 20 years old and my school is St. Joseph's College in Gelu.
Great. So for you also, this is the first skills level paper.
Yeah. Skill level, yeah.
Great. You're also not working, right?
No.
Great. Guys, can I have intros about yourself as well? Aisha? Okay. I'm at work. Okay, no problem, Nazara. The others, Mafas, Mehek, Rishma. Lo.
Hi sir, it's Hamna actually. Mahek is not my name. Yeah, so I am I did ACCA from the knowledge layer and I have passed my FR and MM paper and I'm actually following the law process for the second time because I had done the first process long time but I didn't sit for my exams. So I'm doing redoing the classes so that I can sit for the exams with the new syllabus and stuff like that.
Great. So are you working currently or full-time studies?
Full-time studies.
Super. Great. Thank you. Who's next? Ahmed, how about you? Right, I got an intro from Suresh as well. Mafas, Ahmed, Asha, Rishma. Okay, all right. Okay, right. How about you? Sit, no worries.
I'm from Putla.
What's your good name?
Faisal.
Faisal, okay.
I'm from Putla. I'm following the class second time. Last time I missed many classes, so I'm unable to sit for them. So I'm
Right, so is this the first skills level paper for you, or have you done any first one? Right. Alright, great. So I can see except for one or two, most of you all, this is the first skills level paper it seems, which is good. That means you are freshers, so it's very easy to shape up from the beginning. So good thing about law is this is not having a major difference from what you have done in knowledge level, because knowledge level also it was mainly about multiple choices. Same thing continues for law. Law is also 100% multiple choice in the exam. So whatever you are used to do in knowledge level, it would be the same thing. But since some of you all haven't done knowledge level also, I will just give a brief intro about what happens on this whole CBE story. So in ACCA we have two kinds of exams. One is 100% CBE, where the entire thing will be multiple choices and the exam will happen on demand. And then the second one is about the normal exams, where we have a fixed exam date. On that particular date we need to attempt for the exam and finish it off. So law falls under the on-demand category, where you can decide based on your confidence level, you can plan out your exam date. So this is 100% multiple choices, so nothing to worry about writing paragraphs or anything in law. But we have one difference from knowledge level to skills level law paper. That is, in knowledge level, when you get a question, that is from a specific topic only. Right? Those who have done knowledge level, correct me if I am wrong. If they test a specific example, FA, if they test a specific standard, it will be only about that standard, the question. But here, now we are one level in advance, so we can't have the same thing going forward. So sometimes more than one provision in law might be combined together in one question. Okay? So that means if you don't know one aspect, you might lose the entire marks from the other aspect as well, which we cannot afford to happen. So there are few mistakes that we generally do when we do an exam like this whole law story. Hi, law? Please come, no worries. So let's see what are the common mistakes that we do when we move into an exam like this law. Number one, we simply ignore the paper. This is the biggest issue. We don't care about the paper. Why? Multiple choice and on demand, right? So we simply don't care. Not a big deal, right? Second thing, postpone. Again, on demand. So you can decide the date on which you are doing the exam. So we tend to postpone the exam. We don't sit for the exam. We always say, okay, I'm not ready, let's do it next week or next month. And this next week or next month never comes until you are done with the entire skills level, and your parents or your lecturers or whoever behind you, they start scolding you, why aren't you finishing the balance subject? Then only you realize, I have postponed this for around 1.5 years now. That is what's going to happen. Agree? So third problem is, this is multiple choice, right? So we don't take the exam serious. Multiple choice, always 25% benefit is there, right? 4 choices. One of them is correct anyway. So even if you tick A for all the answers, there's a 25% chance you will go beyond 50, right? Agree? So you don't get it serious because it's multiple choices. But research says the marks for multiple choice questions are lesser than scenario based questions. Why? Because when it is scenario based, we have a flow, we have steps, we have our explanations. All these will carry marks for us. But when it becomes multiple choice, we don't get marks for any of that. If our final judgment is wrong, we are losing full amount of marks, isn't it? So that is why generally multiple choice is tougher than a written exam. Are we okay? Fourth point, the marks. How many marks do you need? What is your target mark? 50. 50. More than 80. 50. Guys, this never do. Because it is life, right? So all of you are at least 16 years old. The youngest is at least more than 16. So minimum 16 years you lived. Is there any single day that you achieved exactly what you wanted? Can anyone recall? So always below that, right? So 1 mark below this, what will happen? You are done with the exam, isn't it? So never target for 50. I agree with you, minimum target for 80. Then at least you will get 50. High target is fine, no, than compared to a lower achievement.
But ACCA doesn't want to give us more than.
How can they stop?
What's that?
I have a student who scored 96 for tax, and I know a student who scored 100% in tax. So 80 is out of the equation, guys.
My highest mark in ACCA is 80 under.
That I have a student in Sri Lanka scored 96 for tax, and I have a student in India who scored 86 for tax. I have another student in Sri Lanka who scored 87 for tax. So guys, it is not achievable. So we have landmarks, right? We have people who have scored. Even last time FR we had 92, I think. So nothing is unachievable in ACCA. Just that, yes, we get stuck in one range. That is true. That I also accept. But definitely we can do, because in a paper like tax, if someone can score 100, this is, guys, a piece of cake. So when they asked me to take on law, I was like, okay, let's do. Then I checked your syllabus. 1/4, less than 1/4 of the tax syllabus. So I was the happiest person in the earth. Trust me, I did a party. I was so happy. From 1230, I am coming to 230. So shouldn't I be happy? So you can score in this one, guys. Content wise, this is very low. Easily you can do this. And only thing, you have to trust yourself. And you have to trust me. If we can do those two, easily we can do that. Law is not tough. I wouldn't say this is the easiest, because I used to say tax is the easiest. I will not change my word. Let's say this is the second easiest. So, to be honest, guys, law is not tough. Where we get stuck is, like I said, now we are moving knowledge level to skills level now. So we are in a transition period, right? We are coming from K to S, knowledge to skills. So 90% of us are in this transition. So in this transition, the difference is here we test only one concept at a time. So one question will test only one concept. But like I said at the beginning, when you move on to skills, one question might test more than one concept. That is why in skills we get a bit stuck in a paper like law. Because multiple choices we are used to answer only for one particular concept only. But now we are being tested with multiple concepts in one question. That is the transition that we have to get used to. Are we good? Right. And this 50, just forget guys, don't target for 50. At least let's keep the mark as 80, so we will score 50 no. So if we can get 80, good. 70, fine. 50 also no problem, right? As far as we get through, no harm. So let's aim at high, then at least the lower point we can reach. Because you are scoring this and this makes a big difference, isn't it? Agree? How many marks is the gap? Only 2. 51 and 49, only 2 marks. This 49 is the toughest thing that you can face in the life. So I had a friend, we did an exam together. He ended up in 49. So I was like, no, I'm not going to give up. I will do the next exam itself. Sat for the exam again. Can you guess the marks?
80.
49.
Oh my god.
That was his exact reaction. Then he wanted to give up. But we didn't allow him. We encouraged him, motivated him and forced him to do the exam again. So he sat for the 3rd consecutive time. Can you guess the marks?
49.
Unfortunately, yes.
I feel that, friends. Because I've been failing 4 on a streak. 2 audits, 2 PM. 49, 48, 49, 48, 38.
So that means you have felt the same thing that my friend would have felt, right? So he took 1.5 years break after that. Sorry, 1 year break after that. He was so fed up. And those days exams were not each quarter. We had exams only in each 6 months. So that means he failed 3. 1.5 years. Break 1 year. Life is postponed by 2.5 years. Right? So that is the damage this 149 can do to your entire life. Agree? So let's be serious. Let's ensure we end up on this angle, not this angle. We will be 50 plus, not 50 minus. Right? To do that, I need only few things from you all. Number 1, like I said, trust me. Number 2, don't accumulate the work. That is the biggest mistake that we can do. Generally what we do is, especially those who are coming from A levels. I also did A levels, I also studied only 3 weeks. Fine, I got ABC, not a problem. That is after having an eye surgery. So after full transplant, having 32 stitches in the eye, still I got ABC. That is also after studying only for 3 weeks. I was happy with my result. With everything I had to go through within the last 6 months before my A levels, I was more than happy that I got through. Because I couldn't wear specs with 32 stitches in the eye. And I still got one name, it means a lot to me. So what I would say is, when you are studying, when you accumulate the stuff, in professional exams, that is going to make your life very miserable. Not like in academic exams like university exams or A levels or whatever. Here if you accumulate, you will not remember what we studied even. You might not even remember there was a topic like that. In tax, I never do tax admin chapter on the order. Like it is 11th chapter, I never do it as the 11th chapter. That would be the last chapter, right? If I do that as the 11th, when you are on the revision stage, you will not even remember that there was a chapter called tax admin. With experience, I know that. Why? Because we don't study on a daily basis, or we don't study on a weekly basis. We keep till the end. Then the concepts will be forgotten. Important thing in ACCA is try to understand the concept, not to try to memorize. None of the subjects in ACCA you can get through by memorizing, even law. So you might be feeling that law is something that you have to read and you can memorize and get through, right? Anyone believes like that? Can you raise your hands if you think like that? No one thinks like that. You feel. Okay, you also feel. Guys, law is not something about memory. Who governs a country? Any country is governed by something called law, right? Isn't it? So can a country be run on something which you need to memorize? Simple question. No, right? Every provision in law, there is a concept. There is a reason. If you don't know these two, what is the concept, why that concept is there, then my dear friends, we are going to struggle in the exam. Because like I said, what they test is the concept in the exam. You might remember the entire syllabus, but if you don't know the reason and the concept, you will struggle in the exam, especially for a subject like law. So we have to ensure we know the concept, we know the reason. If we know those two, we are good to go with law. So the second thing I want from y'all is try to understand concept and the reason. I know this with experience. So my own wife did law, ACCA. She wanted to do ACCA, so I knew Ramli those days also. I spoke to Ramli and sent her here. She started. Lectures went well. She studied. So I was also very happy because first time in my life I saw that she was studying. Because it was expensive, so she gave 100%. But she couldn't make it. The reason? She tried to get it by heart, not understanding. So I know it from the hard way that law cannot be done in that way. If you understand, yes. If you try to memorize, forget about law. You're good? That was good for me. As a result, I got to know the answer, so I started lecturing here. So went in good for me, but overall she could not make the exam. Reason, tried to get it by heart rather than trying to understand the concept behind the law. So the second thing is that, are we okay with the first two things? Third one, weekly have a small short note on whatever we have studied up to that point. Not a big thing, no. We will not be doing 100 pages on a week. We don't have 100 pages to do in a week, guys. Then within 2 weeks, syllabus will be done. So, first time I'm saying that. Because this is the, syllabus wise, this is the lowest subject that I have done. Your syllabus is not a very vast thing. But it can be very troubling if you don't do it on a timely basis. So what I want you guys is to have a small short note. I don't want you guys to study 24/7 for law. Don't do that. Even for tax, I don't ask you to do that. Not 24/7. 1 hour for a week or 2 hours max for a week is more than good enough to score around 80 for law. It's not a big deal, guys. Not day, I'm talking about a week, entire week. So how many hours we have for a week?
50.
24 into 7, how much? Guys, at least use the calculator.
168.
Correct. So out of 168, how many hours I'm asking? Max 2. How many hours are you spending on social media? Especially boys. Roughly how many hours for a week?
130. Probably.
Okay, so out of that you can give 2 hours for law? Can? Right. So 2 hours a week, only thing I need is prepare a proper short note. So short note guys can be anything. Yeah? Whatever sticks in your mind, that should be the way that you prepare a short note, because I have seen people preparing short notes in different ways. When I was schooling, all my friends used to fold A4 into 4 pieces and write in very tiny letters, which I couldn't even read. So not a fan of that. But if that is the way the things goes into your head, please do that. Some used to write in an entire A4. Fine. People like me, lazy people, we used to type in a Word document. In my case, I didn't even type. I didn't bother to type. I was a fan of diagrams. So whatever comes in my way, I used to put into a diagram and save it. Still, I have those short notes, which I use for my CA and ACCA. Still, those are there with me. So it's very easy. Whatever convenient for you, but preparing short note is compulsory. Can we do that? Final thing. Have you ever used Study Hub? Great. Then you might have seen in the Study Hub, you have a section called practice questions. Once we're done with the chapter, try the practice questions. Once you try, we will do the same thing in the class as well. But first, you have to try, guys. It doesn't matter how many questions I discuss in the class. It matters how much you understood and how much you practiced. So first practice, then we will discuss in the class. That is effective than me discussing 1000 questions. If we can do 100 questions in this way, that is more than enough. Because then you yourself understood. In the exam, I am not there to explain. No. Can we do these simple steps? Not hard, right? Great. Then let's stick to that plan. Final thing, fix a date. What is the date that you are going to do the exam? You have to fix a date. Right? Right, today is too early to pick it. So we'll continue. Once we are halfway done with the syllabus, everyone let's fix a date for the exam. Otherwise, guys, that postponing thing will keep on happening. When you fix a date, your mind will work towards that date. Then you know you have a deadline. Otherwise, what will happen? You will always think, I have time. Then finally you will be around 25 to 30 years, but still law will be pending. Isn't it? So we don't want to go to that stage, no. So let's fix a specific date. Worst case, by first week or second week of December, everyone has to do the exam.
This December?
Okay, not December, sorry. April. They can target worst case. Best case, somewhere around March. Worst case, April. And given most of you all have this fasting and all in April, I encourage to finish before that, because during that time it will be hard for you all anyway. Your body will not be 100% during that time, so encourage to do before that. Those who are fasting and all.
So how long you are taking to finish the syllabus?
Like I said, it's only 230 pages. So no, we'll take more than that. We have to do questions as well, no? 3 to 3.5 hopefully.
So by February, will I be able to do that?
Most probably yes. Shouldn't be an issue. Shall we target around Feb or March to do the exam?
Yeah.
I also prefer to do it before April, given you have the fasting and all things are coming in. So can we target around latter part of Feb or first half of March?
Yeah.
Everyone? Great. Let's stick to that plan then. But all of us has to do the exam during that time. Huh? Can I trust you all? Right. That we can check whether you have the short notes or not from the next week. Whether I can trust you all or not. And I got a question here. Right. So I think I have answered to this question. So when we are planning to finish off the syllabus. Right. So these are the basics. Are we okay? Great.
Sir, can I ask you a question? So I am actually using the book of September 2022 and August 2023. It's the recent thing I bought from PPIM.
Okay.
Is this book okay or should I get the latest one?
Right. So my personal advice is this shouldn't be a big issue because law is not a subject where we have major changes from year to year. So shouldn't be a big issue, but let's focus mainly on the study hub.
Okay.
This will keep as an additional study material.
Yeah, so syllabus and stuff I will be mostly considering on study hub and your notes. But then now for practice exams, is there a change? Like
No,
there won't
no.
be an issue then?
No, shouldn't be an issue. This 22, no? 22 to 23, right?
23.
There shouldn't be a change. So because law is not changing that much, they might have just changed the order. That's it. The conceptually, I mean, from 23 to 24, there won't be major problems. So shouldn't be an issue. Yeah, okay. Right. So now we can move on to law. First of all, why do we need a law? That is the first question. No? So all of us speak about law, right? Why do we need a law?
Discipline?
Discipline. Okay, good.
Proper conduct.
Proper conduct. All right, good. Anyone else?
And like for everyone when to keep like same goal control.
Okay, good. How about left side? All the answers are coming from the right side. How about the left side? Come on guys, don't worry. We are here to learn. So never think twice to express your view. That is something that you have to develop as well. Okay, I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I will not name the place. Yesterday I went to a university to do a small presentation about ACCA. I went there. We had around 500 plus students were present. It was a large hall. Each row, we had around 8 rows. Each row, front 4 lines were fully empty. Not even a back. Forget about a student, not even a back. So what does that mean? We are not ready to move forward. Because if you had enough spaces, I don't mind. But at the back, people were struggling for spaces. But still, you are not confident to come to the front. Which is not a good sign as a country. Isn't it? So, same thing that I am trying to say. Never think before, never be panic or overthink before you express your view. Because in a class, all of us are here to learn. So nothing to worry. Just express your view. No problem or no harm in that. No one will laugh at you here. No one will finger point at you here. We are all here to learn. So, and there's nothing called stupid questions as well. Huh? Stupidity is not raising the question. Because if you are not raising the question, you are not clearing out your doubt. What if the same thing tested in the exam? The stupidity is what? Asking the question or not asking? Not asking the question is a stupidity. Any queries, raise it there itself. Or usually I am very responsive. So any queries, you can get my number from the WhatsApp group. Just drop me a message. And if you don't get a response within 48 hours, drop a reminder. There is no harm in dropping a reminder. Drop a reminder because generally I respond max within 48 hours. If that doesn't happen, 90% of the time I might have not seen your message. If that is the case, drop a reminder, then your message will come to the top of the inbox. We are good? Right. So now what is law?
To ensure our rights,
Assure your rights.
our rights, citizens.
Everyone's rights. Okay? How about you?
Provide equality among them.
Provide equality. Good. So I agree with all your answers, but generally law is how a country will be governed, isn't it? So whatever you said is a part of governing, right? How we govern, that is the law, isn't it? So generally in Sri Lanka, how does the law happen? Whatever the president wants. Okay, then why do we need the parliament? According to the jurisdiction. Okay, so who gives the power to the president or for the what do you call parliament? People. Do we?
I mean, we don't willingly do it.
We don't?
Willingly do it.
Okay. Unwillingly we do that. Okay. I would say constitution. So who made the president executive in Sri Lanka? Constitution.
Again, the constitution is also edited by the president, right?
President individually cannot do that. So you have to have 2/3 from the parliament. Then you should have a voting from the people as well, whether they are voting in favor of the change or they are voting against that.
Then I have a doubt. Just an example, I know it's not related.
That's fine, that's fine.
So now, I recently, when President Lahiru Karunarathna, when he was the president, there was a law called Online Safety Act that was passed. So people were against it, but then Parliament was in favor of it. So basically, it's like they are ruling on their own, so they have their rights. We can't tell anything.
Imposing a law is a different thing. I mean, act can be passed with the approval of the parliament, but if you want to change the constitution, then you need the 2/3 and the people's right. So passing a law, it's a right of the parliament. So if the parliament approves, the law will be passed. But if you are changing the constitution in Sri Lanka, then you need, like I said, 2/3 and a voting from the people. You are good? It's two different things. Clear? Right. But in UK, we don't have a written constitution. So that means who holds the entire power? Parliament. The entire power held with the parliament. And who decides who should go to the parliament? People. So then the entire power is with whom? With people. That's the difference. Yeah, okay? So here, president, parliament, court and people. Everyone is bound to the constitution. Whereas UK, everything comes from the parliament and parliament is controlled by the people. So pure power is with the people about deciding the law. And you have different ways of objecting the laws as well. Here also we have, but we don't know. Sri Lanka also, there are a lot of ways that we can object for an existing law. The thing is, we don't know.
The thing is, I was working at an NGO. So the Online Safety Act thingy was like, that's also a law, right? So even if a lot of people went against it, and I saw my organization also working against it, but then at the end of the day, we don't have a say. No one listens to it.
But what did we do even though we are against that? So let's say now they are passing a law. So we don't like it.
Yes.
So what should we do? Just saying among us that we don't like it, we don't like it.
Put, I think it's a petition or something, I cannot remember, but nothing worked.
Yes, when the corruption is at a certain level, yes, there are limitations, but to be honest, these petitions also doesn't get the correct effect. When you are filing a case, let's say now I file a case against you, let's say I file a case against him saying he tried to hit me. Okay? But when the evidence come in the court, it becomes, it's not like he tried to hit me, he tried to kill me. Two different cases. So if he actually tried to kill me, from the petition that I have filed, court cannot give any decision against him. Because the legal point that I am touching is completely different from the final legal point that we have to address. So that is why most of these petitions are going out. We are not touching the correct point. Then the judge is also helpless. Even though he want to go ahead, he can't go ahead because he is also bound by the law.
So will it be like free? Will it that be
Yes.
free?
I have to file a different case or I have to do an extension for the existing case. There are methods like I can do an extension, but I have to do that. If I don't do that, you are released. Yes.
Or maybe the judge is corrupted then.
That's a different story. But yet again,
I guess when studying law, we can't use Sri Lanka as an example. Because there's too much corruption.
agree. But there are instances where people won in Sri Lanka as well. I'll give you one example. In 2020, we came up with so many changes for tax, right?
Yeah.
So we had something called PAYE earlier.
Yeah.
We removed that and we came up with something called APIT, Advanced Personal Income Tax. But now what is the difference between APIT and PAYE? Now nothing, just the name is different. But when they introduced, there were so many differences. How did it change? During that 3 months, 90% of the taxpayers did not pay the tax and 90% of the taxpayers refused the APIT system. So when they don't get the income, they had to change the Gazette. They amended the act. So there are situations where people won as well legally. Without taking the law into their hand, legally there are situations where people won as well.
Like, ignore the law.
We didn't ignore as well. Why 90% didn't pay was 90% did not understand what to do.
Yeah.
So you can blame them as well. They didn't willingly do that. No one had the guts to willingly do that, but they didn't know what to do. Think about an engineer. Think about yourself. You are future finance people, right? So do you know how to file an income tax return in Sri Lanka? So think about a doctor, think about an engineer, think about a farmer. How can they file then if you also don't do?
I actually know. I did
Good.
in my company.
Good.
Yeah,
So
but they call it pay and with like slash, like they don't know what
exactly.
it is.
So that tells the story.
Yeah.
So that is why people could not pay, because people didn't know what to do. So it's not that no one ignored the law or no one was caring about the law. They didn't know how to comply with the law. So ultimately, the government had to change the law. So that means people has the power to a certain extent even in Sri Lanka. Just that how we use the power is a different problem. Everyone. From the top, from to the bottom, how we use the power is a problem. Isn't it? So what's the biggest power we have? Vote. That's the biggest power we have. So are we voting?
Yeah.
This time also around 21% of the people did not vote, right?
Yeah.
So that tells the story. It is not the case if you take the UK, no? They vote. At least a rejected vote, they do vote. So they exercise the power. Whereas 21% of the country, we don't exercise the power itself.
Rejected was more than.
At least rejection is fine. That means they have voted no at least. But 21% not voting in the sense, that is a big problem. So that means we are not even using our power. And we are blaming others. Simple. So are we okay with what is law and why law is required? This whole discussion was to get an understanding about what is law and why it is required. Are we okay with that concept? Right. Then the next question is, what is UK?
United Kingdom.
Great. So is it one country?
Yeah.
No, it's four, I guess.
Correct. UK is not one country. UK is a combination of countries. So we have England, we have Wales, we have Ireland, we have Scotland. So UK is a combination of countries. So what we study here as law is exactly the law that is practiced in England and Wales. And Netherlands and Scotland and some part of Ireland. This law is applied but with certain changes. What we are learning is actually not UK law. What we are learning is mainly English law. Are we okay?
Yeah.
That is the first thing that we need to know. That is, UK is a combination of countries and how this English law system works. We are good? Clear? Right. Then we have certain fundamental principles. So in any country, generally we have mainly two kinds of laws. We have, okay, now let's say, so we have a law how we should walk in a road, right? We have to walk on the right side. So let's say I don't do that, and police decide to fine me. Think it is UK, so they will fine. It's not Sri Lankan policeman, it's a UK fellow. So definitely the fellow will fine you. But under which law? That is civil law. Because it's a civilian act, right? Isn't it? Agree? Now coming back to the example where you hit me. That will be under which law? It's under criminal law. But still, it is attempt, right? Attempt to harm someone. Might not be the kill, but attempt to harm, which is criminal. So criminal can be imprisonment plus fine, whereas civil generally results in a fine or a penalty. Agree? Are we okay with main types of law happening in any country? Right. Then this English law has been the source for different other countries as well. Example, we have countries like even USA has followed some parts of English law, and obviously countries which ever held under UK like us, India, Pakistan, we also have some sort of an influence from the traditional English law. You okay? Right. Then how does the system works? We have something called constitutional monarchy. So we call this as a crown as well. So who is in the power these days? Great. It is King Charles III that we are having right now. After a long time, UK is having a king. I'm pretty sure even King Charles was not expecting to be a king.
He's already dead.
I'm pretty sure he expected that the Queen will stay. But childhood dream came true for the fellow. At the latter part of his life, he at least became the king somehow. So he would be the constitutional monarchy then. He is the leader. He is the crown. Then we have the parliament. UK parliament has two components: House of Commons and House of Lords. Like what we have here, we have the general parliament and we have the cabinet, isn't it? And even from the elections, we have people who are coming from the votings, and we have people who are coming from the national list. All these are introduced by whom? Previous British regime. We haven't changed anything. So UK also have something similar but in different manner. Conceptually the same thing, but in a different manner. Clear?
Who is the crown? So the king.
King is the crown. But generally what happens is crown is just heading the monarchy. Decisions are done by the parliament. So parliament has two components, House of Commons and House of Lords. You good? So generally House of Commons is reflected by the MPs, the members of the parliament who are coming through the votes. You good? But don't be surprised, even in UK, sometimes back, the parliament was dominated by males. Females were not there in the parliament. Right? In 1958, they comes with an act called the Life Peerage Act. Through that only the power was given where ladies also can take a part on House of Commons. Right? Now, House of Commons consists with three, gender-wise male and female, and then we have elected parliamentaries, plus we have, like what we have as our national list, they also have something similar, where respective industry people and the professional people they need, they take those people also into the House of Commons, just to support on building up the system. We are okay? Clear? So once the election is done, the party who wins the election, the leader of that party will become who?
Crown.
Crown is the king. Everyone who got elected will be members of parliament.
House of Lords.
That is different. He will become Prime Minister. Right? Who is the current Prime Minister of UK?
Indian guy still
I don't know, I'm asking from you.
Rishi Sunak.
Rishi Sunak. Is he the Prime Minister yet?
If you ask for Sri Lanka Prime Minister also, I don't know.
Okay, who's the Sri Lankan Prime Minister since you raised?
Some
Dr.
women.
Hari something like
I think something, okay.
Harini Siriwardhan or something.
Check for UK Prime Minister, who is the current UK Prime Minister. Google. Let's use technology.
Yes, Dharma.
Rishi
Sunak.
Is it here?
Oh yeah, Keir Starmer.
That favor changed. Now this is the guy who is the Prime Minister of UK. You are good?
Yeah.
So the other thing is, be alert with your news. Because guys, you are learning a UK qualification. So your exam questions will be definitely related to what is actually happening in the world. So be alert about what's happening around the world right now. Why I say is, couple of weeks back in one class I asked, do you know whether there's a war going on between Ukraine and Russia? There were around 10 people who didn't know that. Whereas the war is going on for more than 1.5 years now. So that cannot be the situation. When you are doing professional exams, we have to have an idea about what's happening around the world, because questions will come from these real world incidents. Not just ACCA, in any professional exam, that would be the case. Are we good? So if you have an idea, then it will be easy to understand the scenario that they are talking about. Are we all good? Great. Then, generally, this House of Commons consists around 790 members. There is no upper limit for that. This is a general number. We are good? Right. Then House of Lords, they comes through the votes of these peers or these members of House of Commons, similar to the cabinet that we have. That's what I said. We have similarities on the structure wise. Yeah, okay? Right. So normally we have around 92 people who are coming from the elected people, and we have around 26 coming from the professional tier. Yeah, okay? Generally these numbers are not tested, guys, because these are not fixed numbers. These are on average. Yeah, good? Right. Then, regional and local government. Do we have regional and local governments in UK? Yes, we do have certain local government issues. But we go with the generally accepted English law for the exam purpose.
House of Lords again.
Right. So House of Lords is something like what we have as cabinet here. So from the House of Commons, they will elect who should be a part of House of Lords.
They have a senior position.
Yes, it's like a senior position. Like from ACCA, you become FCCA, something like that.
So who holds the more power in House of Commons?
Generally, who holds the larger power in House of Commons will be the guys who are representing the House of Lords, because it goes on the votings. No? So, like our cabinet story.
So the Prime Minister is the Parliament leader.
Yes. So, Parliament is split into two:
Yeah.
House of Lords and House of Commons. End of the day, both are led by the Prime Minister. Prime Minister is appointed by the Crown. Are we good?
Yeah.
Clear?
So 92 members, just like you said, 92 members from House of Commons are chosen and taken to House of Lords. So what about those 20 out of 96, 92, 26 will be from the Church of England?
That is, we have given so archbishops and bishops. So this is where we give the, like I said, to give a small cushion to get the professional fellows in.
Ah, yeah.
Because now, example, if you or me sit for the election, the possibilities of us getting votes are very low, right? But sometimes we might be in a position where we can influence to the proper development of the policies and the entire system. So those people also should get some kind of a method where we can get in.
Example, if the owner of Shakti was, I think he's a, I'm not very sure, the Maharaja guy, basically putting him in
Yeah, we can do that.
House of Lords.
Yep. Are we good? Right. Then European Union. What is European Union first of all?
It's a union with a bunch of countries from Europe which follow a specific law, like few laws, and they have like free trade between them and stuff like that. And I think most of their currencies are also same.
Correct. So European Union was a revolutionary idea, came a long time back, where a set of European countries stood together and reformed and started to work as one country. So, like she correctly said, we didn't have any taxes among them, we didn't have any visa requirements among them, so it was like a free trade zone. Within the European Union, we were not charging any tax or anything. So, UK was a part of the European Union sometimes back. So, UK was affected from the laws, came from the European Union as well. So, European Union has a common currency also. We call it as Euro. Have you heard about Euro? Great. So, European Union operates in Euro. There was one country in European Union who did not want to go with Euro. Guess the country? Yes. England never wanted to go ahead with Euro. So, they stick to sterling pounds. But now, in 2020, they exit the European Union. Exactly. So after a lot of power changes in the UK Parliament, around 3 Prime Ministers resigned because of this whole European Union problem. Some of them are really good as well, but they had to resign. So finally, they came out of the European Union. Now, British or simply even UK is not a part of European Union. We are good. But as soon as they exited, they did not take any drastic changes to European Union as soon as they left, because it would have economically damaged them a lot. Now gradually they are coming up with new laws so that they can isolatedly operate. They are trying to reduce the effect of the European Union laws now. Yeah, okay? Right. Then judges. Who is judge? Someone who is wearing a fancy hair with a fancy cloak, is it? Who is a judge? No idea. Judge is the person who is going to lead the court. Agree? But before that, I have one question for you all. Now I said UK does not have a written constitution, right? And Parliament holds the power. Then let's say Parliament passes an act. Can the court issue a decision against the act? Unfortunately, in UK that cannot be done, because no constitution, right? If the constitution is not there, power is with the Parliament. So then no one can challenge the Parliament, isn't it? Court can interpret the laws. Wherever the law is not clear, court can come into the picture. That is the role of the court, right? Technically, court's job is not to challenge the Parliament. Court's job is to interpret and support whenever there is a grey area in the law. That is what exactly happening in UK. Court doesn't try to challenge the Parliament. That is not their role. We are okay? Now, who leads the court? That would be the judge. And this is a separate profession itself. So it's a professional person. So the position of a judge will be given based on the professional merit. Are we good? Right. Then in law we have different types. We have public law to start with. So that is the law which is applicable for the general public, like we. So there are different aspects of public law as well. It includes constitutional and administrative law. This is about the general application of law. Then we have criminal law, simply civil and criminal in Sri Lankan terms. Are we good? This general constructual and administrative law in Sri Lankan terms, it's a civil law that we are talking about. And the other part is criminal law. Are we good? Right. So these are applicable commonly for any person in the country. It's a common law, right? That's why we say it's a public law. Clear? Then we have something called private law. So that means we are going to target one person and give a law for that one particular individual, is it? That's what we are going to do. Not exactly, but what we are trying to do here is we are trying to regularize personal relationships. Do we need to do that? Why do we need to do that? Aren't we trying to come to someone's personal space there?
Not really. Otherwise, there will be crime too.
Exactly.
Public law then.
Correct. 100% agreed. Even the private relationships should be governed by law. Otherwise, example, marriage. Is it a public thing? It's a private relationship, right? If there is no law to govern marriage, what will happen? Simple example. If there is no law to govern marriage, what will happen?
Child marriages.
Anything can happen basically, right? Any unethical, unlawful, unacceptable, unmoral, anything can happen. Isn't it? Now, when you enter these premises, we do have a bond, right?
Yeah.
Once you walk inside this door, your results is my responsibility. Isn't it? Yes, I haven't signed any document with you all, true. But you got registered there, right? As soon as you get registered there, it is my responsibility to ensure that you get a proper result. So if the registration is not there, then what will happen? There is no bond then, right? Then I can do whatever I want. Isn't it? If I want, I will teach. If I don't want, I will play a movie here. It's my role.
This actually backfired to me once.
Right?
So once initially when I joined the ACCA, I joined the Icon business school.
Okay.
So I did the second stage there, and the tax syllabus was like started. And the last about 40% of the syllabus was not covered, and they closed down. Didn't inform anyone, nothing. And then when I asked the lecturer, he kind of got mad at me because I think I was a bit rude at him. I was like, can you please complete the syllabus? So he got, it's like, I don't work, I work only on the
Contract.
Icon. Yeah. And then he's like, I can't do anything for you. So basically, since there was no written contract, it actually backfired
True.
once.
Can happen. That is because you don't have a legal contract. Isn't it? So when you have a proper relationship governing method,
Yeah.
then these problems are sorted. That is why we have to have the private law.
Yeah.
That is why we need contract law. If the contract law was there properly, in your case, would have been sorted. Shouldn't be an issue. Isn't it? So there is something called law of tort. Law of negligence, how we are going to manage. Have you heard about negligence in Sri Lanka? Professional negligence, have you ever heard? No? Seriously? In Sri Lanka? Never?
Professional,
Negligence.
not paying tax.
That depends if you are a tax professional or not. Think about a farmer, then it's not a professional negligence, no?
Not very sure, but I don't know if it's related, but actually you know even the people in like who are ministers and opposition like this long time, they themselves don't know how they should be voting against something, how they can't like, does that come under it? Because
Yeah, you can say yes.
one of like when ministers were like, how do you do this?
True.
It's like your job, you don't know how to do it.
Yes. Can we take as an example? Easy example is, guys, so many cases where they are against the doctors, right?
Yeah.
When you had to operate the left leg, they have operated the right leg.
Oh.
There were so many instances like that, right? So it is professional negligence. I myself faced something like that. I went to an eye surgery. So the ward nurses has put as I have to operate my right eye. So I was taken into the theatre. Doctor was streaming to the file. Luckily, I have been a patient for the doctor for a long time. So he remembered me. I was almost about to go through the anesthesia. So he just tapped me when I asked, we have already done the right eye, right? I was like, yes, we did it around 5 years back.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, that's what I was also wondering, because these fellows have circled your right eye, not the left eye. That is what. If the doctor didn't know the patient, what would happen? They would have reoperated the same eye again, right? My case, luckily, he remembered since I was a long time patient. If it wasn't the case, professional negligence. But do we have a law against that? That's a different question. They do have. That is law of tort. Where you can fight against these things. Clear? Then we have company law. Obviously, we are targeting only the companies, right? So it is a private law then. It's not commonly applicable for you or me. No, company law will it apply for you or me? No, right? That is applicable only if you are running a company. Agree? Right. Similarly, insolvency law. This I will not spend time here because we will discuss that on the respective chapter itself, because insolvency should be something new for you all. It's not something generic. Then branches of English law. Again, I will not spend a lot of time on this because we already discussed about what is criminal law and how does it happen. Examples of criminal law, we had a brief chat about that.
Okay, I would get.
You came all the way for that. Then we have civil law. Again, we had a chat about civil law. So I will not again waste time on repeating the same thing. Then we have something called parallel proceedings. So again, keep in mind, we are not discussing the law yet. We are trying to understand what is law still. This is just the briefing about law. This is not about any specific law yet. Yeah, clear? Right. Then we have something called judiciary. So under judiciary, we discuss about separation of power. Like we don't hold the power into one particular place, we are trying to split the power. Have we split the power in Sri Lanka? Constitution wise, yes. constitution wise we have split the power. President holds the executive power, Parliament holds the constitutional power, and court holds the judiciary power. Right? So constitution wise, yes, we have split it. Implementation is a different story. So UK also we have splitted the powers. We have the legislator, that means the person who built the law. Legislator would be the parliament who comes up with the law. Then we have executive, that is who is implementing the law. So what is the difference between enforcing the law and implementing the law?
The one who is actually working according to the law is implementation.
Correct. So implementation means how are we going to actually practically operate the law. So that comes through ministers, government officers, officials, even the three forces and police. These fellows comes under the executive story, that is the implementators, the executors of the law. We are good? Then comes the judiciary. That is where when you have a concern about the law, there should be someone who makes the final call, right? That is the judiciary. Generally the judiciary we are talking about the courts. Clear? Any questions? Right. Then under judiciary we have different layers for the judges. We told the court is run by the judge. So that has different layers. We might have district judges. So these are the lowest level of the courts. Then we have circuit judges. This is the second layer above the district layer. Then we have high court judges, the high layer of the judiciary. We are good? Was these tunes uploaded to the LMS? Not yet. Okay. Gave the tunes for the entire syllabus, so you should get the access for the entire syllabus. I'll check with them. Right. Then we have something called Code of Appeal. So that means if you are not satisfied with even the High Court, you can still go to the Code of Appeal. So that also has another set of judges. A district judge cannot go and do a Code of Appeal. So this is like stages of a qualification. So without doing knowledge level, can you do the skills level? Something similar to that. These are layers of the judiciary, starting from district level. Clear? We are good? Right. Then finally, the Supreme Court, the highest level. We are good? Any questions up to now about this whole law story? No? Right. Then what are the sources of law? What do you mean by a source? What is the meaning of this word?
Where do you find
Correct. I agree with both your answers. So from where it flows. What is the ultimate place from where everything is flowing down? So when you take law in UK, we have around three main situations. One is case law. I would say these two should be shuffled. One is statute, the starting point, that is the primary source of law coming from the parliament directly. Then you have case law. Case law means the previously decided court cases. Now let's say Supreme Court. You go to Supreme Court, file a case, and a judgment is coming from the Supreme Court. For the same reason, can I go and file another case? Let's say I file a case against someone in the Supreme Court for some reason and got the hearing. A similar reason, can you go and file a case in Court of Appeal and get a different judgment? Question is not clear. Is the question clear, first of all? And what do you think?
No, not really. We can't do that.
We cannot do that.
We always have to start from the lowest and we don't go higher.
Same kind of an incident but different people.
Yeah, but same thing.
Yes, Supreme Court is right. So let's take an example. So let's say I file a case against him saying he tried to hit me. Let's say there is no law for that in the common law. So I file a case against him, right? In Supreme Court. So the judge makes the decision. Same thing, you file a case against him in Court of Appeal. Can the judge's decision be different from the Supreme Court's judge's decision?
No,
Okay.
because they follow the same law book, right?
Not just because of that.
And also they follow the parliament.
True, but why we have a court case is because there is a gap between the law and the application, isn't it? So the same problem can come, right? Because the act is not getting amended, no, just because a judge gives a decision. So act will be the same. So you also might face the same issue that I faced. So then you have to go and file your own case, right? So I'm asking, can it be leading to two different decisions? It cannot, because Supreme Court holds a higher power, right? Once the judge in the Supreme Court dictate a decision, not in Supreme Court, in any court, when the judge make a decision, that becomes law. That becomes part of the common law after that. Correct? So you went for a Court of Appeal, my decision came from Supreme Court. So Supreme Court is the highest. So Court of Appeal, for the same thing, they cannot give a different judgment because they are bound by the law or the previous decision given by the judge in the Supreme Court. Are we good? But let's say you don't believe that decision, then what can you do? You have to go to Supreme Court itself then. Only a Supreme Court judge can overrule that. Anything below can't be done. Same thing, a decision given by Court of Appeal cannot be surpassed or overruled by a district level court. Hierarchy is followed. Same or higher hierarchy only overrule a decision given by a judge. Okay? So once the judge makes the call, that automatically becomes a part of the general law. Clear? Yeah, okay? Right. Then we have European law, like European Union law. Like I said, we are not still 100% out of the law system. Yes, we are out of the European Union, true. But it was a very strong treaties that we had, right? These were not treaties where you can breach within overnight. It takes time. So still UK is in the process of coming out of this whole European Union treaties. So certain treaties are still applicable, but it's not widely tested. Are we okay? Clear? Right. So I will not spend time on this case law story, which we already discussed how it happens and what is the effect of that. Then we have few key points. One is what is equity in a law situation. In terms of law, what is equity? Okay, in general terms, what is equity? Don't tell me it is the capital that the owners has put. That is for financial reporting. In general terms, what is equity?
Common law.
Common law, okay.
And what I mean is, just because someone is rich, they don't have a different law.
Correct. It should be fair. Law should be fair, not equal. So these equality and equity are different concepts. This is where people go wrong. We are not talking about equality anymore. We are talking about equity, fairness, not the same treatment. Correct? Should be fair. Example, let's say, you know Elon Musk? Who is Elon Musk? CEO of Tesla. Okay. Starlink. Okay. SpaceX, alright. Okay, X. Simple terms, one of the richest persons in the world. Right? If you ask me, I would say he is a guy who born in Earth but wants to die in Mars.
Really?
Yeah, he made a statement like that. He wants to, yes.
He's apparently working Starlink to Sri Lanka.
It was under discussion with the previous president.
So what is Starlink actually? It's Wi-Fi from the satellite.
Something similar to that. Good to have, I would say.
Free?
Sri Lanka.
It's free, yeah.
Knowing the Sri Lankan ministers and the parliament, I doubt that. But you never know. And plus, this discussion was with the previous president, so we don't know what will be the view of the current president. And after the election, only we can see where we are actually heading. So, Starlink, we are not sure what will happen. But yes, he was interested. Elon was interested. So now assume you also live in UK. He also live in UK. He also make a default of tax. You also make a default of tax. I am the judge. I fine him 1 million. So if it is equality, what should I do? I should fine her also 1 million, right? But is it fair?
Based on the income levels.
Exactly. Compare the income levels.
Progressive tax.
Exactly. So I cannot fine the same amount to her. It is not fair, isn't it? But if I go by the equality principle that everyone is demanding, now what will happen?
Same treatment.
Same treatment. So she also has to pay 1 million, right? Isn't it? Equality is not a highly recommended topic at the moment because we are talking about equity now, which is more practical, I would say. Fairness is more practical than treating everybody in the same manner, isn't it? So when I was around 8 years back, I always am flooded with work, but unfairly I was flooded with work sometimes back. So I had a chat with my boss at that time. So I told him, look here, this is not fair. So I can't accept this. So he was like, look, even I am flooded with work. So that is our profession. So you have to work.
More than 5
Yeah, 5 is nothing, man.
True
That
that.
was around every day around 1 a.m., 2 a.m. was the oofing time.
Yeah.
So then he gave me some examples. Like, you are still young. So at young age, if you work hard, then only you can succeed in future. And a nice lecture. I listened to the entire thing. Then I told him, okay, fine. Tell me one person who's qualified as me in my age. So he didn't answer to that question. Then I told him, look here, I didn't spend my time, went through such a hard work and got all these qualifications to suffer after that also.
Yeah.
I did this to have a better life. So don't compare your life with my life. I demand for what I did. After that, I got it. That's a different story because my boss was good. But if your boss was a typical Sri Lankan, you can imagine the treatment after that. But this fellow was very professional guy. He took it positively. He technically promoted me after that.
Only try to.
Sorry?
They do only try promotion for us.
I know, in my case, it was a genuine promotion. It was a genuine promotion. So he was happy that I had the guts to say that to the face itself.
Actually, sir, I resigned from my job last week because of the 24 hours work I was getting.
But in Sri Lanka, that's a common thing now. Except for few places.
Weekends, festivals, trips, even on the phone, weddings I go to. It's like working.
Stuff. Now the problem in Sri Lanka is we have a huge shortage in the market for skilled labor. Currently, we don't have that skilled labor in the market. And the discipline, the law is not there. You said, right? It's about discipline. Right. So, yes, agree. Discipline also comes through law. That discipline is not there. Example, yesterday, like I said, I went to that presentation. No? Before I keep the mic down, as soon as I indicate that the program is over, the backbenchers were out of the class. But that is the discipline which we didn't have, isn't it? So imagine that is the discipline when you are learning yourself. Think about what will happen when those people come to the corporate sector. Right now, I have faced around 3 instances where, not in my place, but with my friends and my wife's place, there were so many instances where they don't even send the resignation, they just stay at home. The employer doesn't even know the fellow is not coming to the work after that. No, they don't answer the calls. They just stay home. No resignation, no communication, no answer to the calls. They just stay at home. That is the attitude. Why? The law and the discipline has not been there. Okay? Right. So that gives you an understanding about how important this subject is when it comes to the real life. And before we go to the break, one more question I have for you all. What is your profession? Right. So basically, can I say field will be accounting, your profession is accounting? Then why are we learning law?
To be disciplined in that career.
That is one reason. But that can be done through ethics also.
Law.
Why are we studying law?
So if you go against the ethics, it's only a bad name for you, a
Mhm.
bad career. But if you go against the law, it can cost you your life, like you can end up in jail.
But that is applicable to everyone.
Because ACCA is a professional qualification and it wants to make you a professional person.
Okay, good.
So
I
a
got.
professional person should be following law.
All right, good. I got another answer from online because law governs accounting. Okay, fine. I'm collecting this. What are the others' ideas? What is your ultimate career objective?
To earn money.
So, okay, to earn money, you have to do something, right? Either you have to be in a profession or you have to do a business. So, assuming you are in the profession, okay, business, what will be your designation then?
Sorry?
Let's say you started a business, then what will be your designation?
So, and it most probably, actually, opening a business, you have to be working on all departments.
So, who looks after all the departments in a business? Either chairman or CEO,
CEO.
correct? So, the others, what are your targets? Your career targets? You should have a career target. When I'm doing O levels, I had one target. That is, I wanted to be a CEO before 30 years. I did that 1 year later, 31 years. I became a CEO in 31 years. So you should have a career goal. So what would be your career goal? She wants to be an entrepreneur. So basically similar to a CEO then. How about you guys? Some place you will be one of the decision makers for a business, right? Might be a CEO, might be a CFO, might be a compliance head, might be a senior auditor, might be some kind of a head. So somehow you will be a part of decision making, right? So if you don't know what is the common law, how are you going to make the decisions? How do you know whether that is permitted by law or not? Isn't it? So just because you are doing accounting, it's not just about disciplining or knowing the stuff. It's about decision making. To make the decisions, you should know law. Isn't it? That is why we are studying law here. Someday you will be decision makers. At that point, if you don't know this stuff, who's going to make the decision then? You won't be able to make a decision, which is not good for the entire economy, not just for you. Isn't it? Good or bad, you should be able to make the decision. Good or bad is a different thing. And it should be lawful. So you should know the law to be a lawful decision. Agree? Right. So with that, we'll go for a quick break. 15 minutes should be enough, right? Generally, I give a break only around 15. That should be enough, right? Let's give a 15 minutes break, then we will start.